Okay. So let's start from scratch. Okay. So my curiosity is why you believe in a flat Earth.
So the better question is, why do you believe in a spinning ball in space? Because I say if you go to the beach,
Yeah.
right, and look out at the sea,
Yeah.
it's flat.
Not to me. Not to
Well,
me.
you can actually test this. You can look
Yeah.
for a sign on the beach,
Yeah.
which is usually leveled,
Okay.
and then match up the bottom of the sign to the horizon, and you can literally go all the way along the horizon, and you'll see it perfectly matches. So it's flat, okay. Sometimes you see a perspective effect, like railway tracks, when you look that way and that way, which might give it the impression. But
Okay.
literally, if you test it with the bottom of the sign, totally flat. The other thing, right? Sorry, just to finish off.
Yeah, you finish. Yes.
Is that right now? Do you feel like you're moving at 1,000 miles an hour?
Okay. So can I answer your question?
Well,
yeah.
You don't.
Two questions.
You don't know.
Yes, two questions.
So
No.
I just want to finish your point. Just finish your point.
Okay, you
the
finish.
point is, right? Your senses tell you you're on a flat, motionless plane. You have to be taught that your senses are wrong.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's the feeling is could be a flat, but I think there are many measurements, easy measurements to see to counter argument that. First of all, the taller you go, the farther away you see it, and this is impossible if the Earth would be flat. And the second one, if you see the eclipses about the moon, eclipses about the sun, it would be impossible if the Earth would be flat. Also the movements of the stars. How do you explain movements of the stars in a flat Earth?
Okay,
Right,
so you want me to
yes,
address that?
Yes, let's.
Okay, so the idea that the higher up you go, the further you can see.
Yeah.
But there's no mystery there, because the human eye has an angular resolution of 0.02 of a degree. Yeah. So right now you're in front of me. You're about 60 degrees, let's say. Okay. If you start moving backwards, right, that angle gets smaller and smaller and smaller until it gets to 0.02 of a degree, and my eye won't be able to resolve you anymore. You disappear. Okay. So, but if you disappear at this height, if I go a lot higher, now that angle's opened up. Okay, now I can see you again.
No,
it's angular resolution.
No, this is about trigonometry.
No, it's angular resolution. The limit of your eyes, is we've got a limit to how far we can see.
If it's about being far away, putting you up means so if it is a point, you stay far away and you go up, you are still farther away than the first point.
It doesn't matter. Again, the angular resolution. This is the limit of our sight. Is determined by the amount of angular resolution here.
I'll give you an example.
Let me just finish
an example of this. There is a boat.
Okay.
This boat, you don't see the boat from a low level. You go up, you start seeing a boat that before was water in front of the boat. Right. So it's water in front of the boat. You see water, you don't see the boat. When you go up, you start seeing a boat. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, if you can't see the boat, it's because now the angular resolution is so small that you don't see the boat. Yeah. If you go up, as you go up higher, that angle changes. Okay. So now you can see it because the angular resolution is more than 0.02. And again, if that boat goes further away, gets smaller, hits that angular resolution, we can't see it again.
Okay, so this is your point. And
the point is, if you go higher, you change the angle.
So you have a personal definition of science of the chronometry. Why you think the research body and all the kind of mainstream research is not backing up this? Why you
it does. If you look up what the human eyes,
if you go to Wikipedia,
can I finish your point?
Yeah.
As I said, it does. It says the angular resolution is 0.02 of a degree. Yeah, you have to put the things together because they're not going to tell you. Yeah.
Okay, but if you go to Wikipedia and we say,
wow, is Wikipedia a real source? Is it?
Yeah, this is my question. It was a question. Why is it not a real source? Why is it lying to us?
Because I could go onto Wikipedia and change it.
Okay.
That's the point of Wikipedia.
And there is also science, right?
But I can go on there and change it. You could go on there and change it. This is Wikipedia.
So you are going not to believe in the mainstream science?
No, what I'm saying, right, mainstream science says that we have an angular limit to our sight. Yeah?
No, but mainstream
That
science.
angle changes depending on our height. Yes?
Mainstream science is saying that the Earth is not flat. This is mainstream
Right.
science.
And can I show you? Can I tell you how I know that's not true?
Yeah.
Because the very first thing that got me into looking at the flat Earth was I found out the curvature calculation. Right. For a sphere that is 25,000 miles in circumference, right? The calculation is 8 inches per mile squared. Okay. So if you know something that's known distance away, you can work out how much curvature should hide that landmark, right? So I went down to Plymouth Hoe, the beach at Plymouth Hoe, and there's a lighthouse 12 miles away. Now, according to the calculation, the first 32 feet of that lighthouse should have been missing, should have been hidden by the curvature, yeah? But I took my camera, took it right down to the water, zoomed in on that lighthouse. I could see the bottom of the lighthouse where the water met the rocks. And not only that, I could see the horizon behind the lighthouse, right? Now, the height I put that camera at, my horizon should have been less than 1.2 miles. So there's no way I should have seen all of that.
So you think you are a scientist?
No, I can do very simple math though.
So you're better than scientists?
It's not me better than scientists. I'm telling you what the science says.
Okay, but you're saying a position, or it is in contrast to what the science is saying.
I'm saying, one of the things I did was I got AutoCAD, because I used to be a draftsman.
But are you a
I got
scientist or not?
AutoCAD, I drew
Answer my question. Are you a scientist or not?
I'm not.
And
But
why
I
you
don't
think-
need to be a scientist.
So you think you're above science?
You're turning it into a different question, aren't you?
Yeah. It's
Well,
answer this
if
question.
science is lying to me, then I am.
Okay. What is so? Science? You think science is lying
Absolutely.
to us, to everybody? It's lying.
Absolutely. Including most scientists.
So this is a conspiracy of scientists against
No,
us.
it's not, because in order to become a scientist, right, you have to go to university and so you have to study what they teach you, yeah?
Okay.
And when it comes to the exam, you've got to have the right answers on that exam. If I answered those exams with a flat Earth perspective, I'm not going to pass that exam, am I?
In my experience, when
I am not going to pass that exam,
I
am
don't
I?
have the same experience.
Hello, no. If I got the exam paper and I answered in as a flat earther,
If you can prove
will
that-
I become a scientist?
No, it's not true. If you can prove that you are right, science is provable. Science is about facts that people can prove. If you are right that the Earth is flat, you can go around, take the best scientists in the world, and make nature change mind. Unless
Scientists,
they have
here's the point.
propaganda, no?
Scientists aren't listening to us, right? I went to Lake Balaton in Hungary.
because you're not a scientist, right?
I went to Lake Balaton in Hungary, right? With an industrial laser, yeah. We put that laser a few feet above the water, yeah, and fired that laser across the lake. We went out 20 miles with a board on the back of the boat with measurements on it, yeah, and 20 miles that laser was literally right on where it should be.
Are you
Yeah?
serious?
You can go online. You'd see it.
Documentary, we kind of heard of it, Behind the
Behind the
Curve.
curve.
Behind the Curve. They did the same thing.
Yeah, it's been done on
Right
YouTube.
at the end of the documentary, you know what happened, right?
It was cut so that you think that. At the end, you're talking about the ring laser gyroscope.
Yeah, you know the board that you had and the two slits they put in the board so they could gauge.
I don't remember that. Sorry, I don't remember that bit. But.
Okay, if you go on YouTube, there's a very clear video of people
Hello.
doing exactly.
No, I did it.
Okay.
I was there.
Can we share the conversation? That's fair.
I'm saying that I was there and
I know,
I did
but
it, and you're saying it was a video
No,
on
I'm saying can we
YouTube.
just share the conversation?
Okay.
All I'm saying is, we've all seen a video on YouTube, which either it's fake, and maybe it is. You seem to be claiming it's fake because you.
I don't know what this video on YouTube
Okay,
is.
if you believe in a self-consistent universe, if you've done the same experiment they did and you got a different result, one of you's done the experiment wrong or is lying. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll give you the credit that you're not lying. Therefore, either they're lying or they've done the experiment wrong. Yes.
Well, you can say that because.
Well, logically that must follow. It must be
all
one
right,
of those situations.
but the BBC went to Lake Balaton and did the same experiment. Said, look, we found a curve.
Why bring them? Like gets it simple.
Because same thing, you're saying, oh, there's evidence that says, but that was the BBC, and they faked it.
Right, so I'm saying, you're saying they faked it.
Yes, they did.
Okay, so if we went back and we took them and you and redid the experiment and filmed it, you'd be happy with it.
Oh yeah, if we did that, yes.
Okay.
I've already done it.
And then you put it on your channel.
Absolutely.
Okay, and if it actually showed the laser did go up the mast, as their experiment showed, then you'd admit that you were wrong about the flat Earth.
If it went up to 32 feet that it should have
No,
gone...
if it goes up at all. If it goes up by 3 feet, why would it unless the Earth is curved? If you keep the laser going totally straight, the height shouldn't change if the Earth is flat, should it? So if we take you and we on camera, we redo the experiment with them, and that laser does actually rise significantly. By significantly, I mean, say, 3, 4, 5 feet. Yeah. If it does do that, then you would agree that maybe your hypothesis is wrong.
Well, one of the things that we did...
Did you answer my question?
No, I'm getting to the answer to your question.
It was an easy question.
Well, one of the things we did, the first time we tried this, and hang on, why am I now battling 3 people?
Sorry, allow me to explain, sorry.
Because, what is it?
Because you're the world champion at this, you can handle us 3 idiots easily. Number two.
Yeah, no, but this is like ambush,
Okay,
because
I'll explain.
it was just going to be us two, isn't it?
I'll explain. This is a friend of mine, it's his first time here. Originally I was going to chat with you.
Then why not?
Because my friend here is a physicist, and I kind of pushed him in front of the camera a little bit. He's having a good time.
Okay.
I'm just here offering some moral support as well, and I thought I'd chip
if he's
in
a
somewhere.
physicist, what does he need support?
He doesn't need support, I'm just giving moral, but I couldn't help but, based on what you said, chip in something I knew that I didn't know if he knew. But if you want me to back out, I'll back off. Surely you're not afraid of what I did to say.
So to answer your question, the first time we did this experiment, we had the laser right close to the water, very close to the water. And what we found was the beam would literally bend and hit the water and bounce off.
That wasn't my question. My question was, if we went back and did the experiment and filmed
If you did the experiment the way we did it and not right to the water, because I can expect that you would try and do it like that and go, look, see, there it is.
No, I'm not trying to agree. Let's agree the experiment. We will put the laser 4 foot above the ground,
Okay.
aiming in a straight line out, take a bow, put a mast on it, mark points on the mast that the laser can hit.
Yep.
Send the boat out as far as we can, which hopefully is a few miles.
Well, we got either, was it 12 miles? It's either 12 miles or 20 kilometres. Yeah.
And we'll aspire to keep the laser always hitting the mast, so we can use a radio to confirm that's happening.
Yeah.
Okay? And if that happens, it has to do one of 2 things. It can't do both what you say and what they say. Yes?
Right. Well,
so if we do
as
that
I said,
experiment,
you can see that on the video.
If it does what they said, would you admit your hypothesis is wrong?
I would, well, not admit straight away because I'd have to look at what you did.
Would you concede that it was highly probable your hypothesis was wrong?
I would concede it could be that we were wrong.
Thank you. Okay,
I would
good.
concede that.
Okay, so that's an open invitation to do a very simple experiment with one of the top proponents of flat Earth, which would largely resolve this issue in perpetuity. It would certainly mean you'd have to reassess your way of looking at things, yes?
Yes, but we'll have to make sure that you're doing it in a way that you're not...
I'm not motivated to lie about this, why would I?
Well, there are people who are.
Hey, if the world is flat, that'd be fascinating, okay? It would have to rethink the whole of reality, it'd be fun. I just think, unfortunately, the more sober scientific model, which is self-consistent, that my friend advocates is probably the boring...
It's not self-consistent. You know why? Okay, there are very many areas of the flat Earth that we could talk about, yeah? And every single answer from the system, right, from the establishment, is this answer, and that answer, and that answer, and that answer. Our only answer is the Earth is flat.
That's what you just said isn't even the beginning of an argument. You just characterised what they said with a noise, and then you reiterated your premise. That's not an argument.
No, what I'm saying is, okay, when we argue, we talk about various aspects of the flat Earth. There's lots of them, okay? And we can point out things that are not consistent about the model, right? And what we get back is an ad hoc answer for the
you're reporting to me your impression.
Let me finish. Right? We get an ad hoc answer for each of these sections of the areas that we look at. An ad hoc answer, okay?
You believe that, but I don't think you're interpreting
but
what's happening.
our answer is one answer.
I know you
The Earth
believe
is
that,
flat.
like in the same way that I'm trying to think, like the Scientologists, they believe a thing. It doesn't mean it's true. I understand that you believe
I didn't just believe it.
Well, you didn't give me
I've
anything to back
spent
it up apart from...
I've spent years doing experiments and testing the thing myself.
Okay.
And I've come to that conclusion.
I get you've gone to that conclusion. I'm questioning the methodology and the hermeneutics in how you did it. I would say a very simple thing is to say, if the Earth is flat, that means the stars are above the flat line, yes?
Yes.
Okay, that means... Sorry, can you move back just a tiny bit? Sorry.
Celestial navigation can only work on a flat surface. You need a flat baseline to get an elevation angle.
I didn't get that, sorry. What?
You know, elevation angle, you've got to have a flat baseline to get an elevation angle.
Now, if this Earth is flat, there's a bunch of objects above us which are above us, yeah? And they stay above us, yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. That means wherever people stand on the Earth, if they look up in a straight line, if they look upwards, they should all be able to see the same stars in the sky,
Of
shouldn't
course not.
they? Oh, why not? Why not?
Perspective.
Come again?
Perspective.
Come again?
We all have a bubble of perspective, yeah? If right now there was a star right above our heads, yeah? If I went 1,000 miles that way, that star will be like there,
But it
yeah?
would- oh,
If
yeah.
I went further, the star will be down here. If I went a little further, the star will disappear. Yeah?
Why would it disappear?
Not perspective.
No.
It's like the top of that tree right now is there.
Sorry,
If I go,
sorry,
if-
it's a pinpoint of light. Do we agree
Perspective.
light travels in a straight... I know you
Perspective.
keep saying that word.
Let
Do
me
we agree?
finish, though.
Do we agree that light travels in a straight line?
I guess so, yes.
We do agree with that. That's good.
So-
Okay. Okay, and we've already agreed that these stars are above the flat, yes?
Yes.
So if the stars are above the flat and light travels in a straight line, then the light
Just
from...
because you don't understand perspective.
Can I finish, then you can explain why I don't understand perspective. Therefore, if the Earth is flat, and we've agreed there are objects above it emanating light, and that light travels in a straight line through a vacuum, well, through space, whatever, uninterfered with by other light, then it doesn't really matter how far away it is in terms of the hundreds of thousands of millions of bloody miles we're talking about, you should still be able to see it. It won't suddenly disappear the way something on Earth would. It is above the horizon line, it's
Okay.
emanating light in a straight line,
Okay.
and if I turn my eyes very slightly, I should be able to see in the sky any of the similar objects
Sir.
that anybody else can see.
Sir.
Yes.
Imagine you're in a long corridor, a mile long, okay? The only light is a light bulb right above your head. Start walking backwards. That light bulb goes from directly above your head to lower and lower and lower in your eye line, yeah? Until, right, you go back far enough, it disappears altogether.
Interesting analogy.
It's true though,
Okay.
is it not true?
Your analogy is truthful.
Right, now,
hang on, doesn't mean you're right.
I'm-
Now we have to apply it.
Right, I haven't finished.
Go
yeah?
on.
So, literally, you get to a point
Yeah.
where that light, which is still above you,
Uh-huh.
yeah, has disappeared below your horizon.
It would be a great point, however, it predicates on certain assumptions, doesn't it? It predicates on the assumption that the light you're looking at isn't very high above you, doesn't
No,
it?
it works the same no matter what.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, hang on. Let's correct the analogy.
I'm
So if
sorry.
I stand in a
Look,
corridor
I'm
which is a mile
I'm
high...
looking at those clouds right there, yeah? Looking at that cloud there, yeah? It's at the same level as that cloud there, but that cloud looks lower, isn't it?
The lamppost
And
as
so
well.
on and so on and so on down to the horizon.
The lamppost,
yeah?
you can measure them.
Perspective.
The lampposts look smaller down the bottom,
It
but the
does,
same
hold it,
size.
hold it. The question wasn't what size do they seem to be or perspective. The question
No,
was...
height in the sky, I'm telling you,
Sorry,
not
I
light size.
deliberately framed my question digitally and simply. The only question was, can you see the object? Yes, no. I don't care about the size. Can you see that object? Yes. Can you see that
No,
object?
no,
Yes.
because
Well, you
it
can't see it.
disappears behind your horizon.
So can you see that cloud?
Right now we can, but that cloud is lower, the next clouds are lower, and so on until the horizon. If that cloud carried on going off that way, it would get lower and lower and lower in my eye line until it disappeared behind my horizon.
Perspective.
Right,
angular
you're arguing the corridor angle, and you have to concede then that the distance you've got to travel away for it to seem that way is relative to the height of the object you're looking at. If
Indeed.
the object is only 1 foot above your head, then obviously as you move away, it will retreat to your illusionary horizon line far quicker than if it's, say, 10 feet above you, yeah, and it will retreat even slower if it's 100 feet above you, okay? So it raises the question, how far above us do you think these objects, stars and things, are?
A few thousand miles.
Okay, that's very, very, very important
How
information.
do you not? How do you think that's
fine.
crazy?
That's fine.
If you can go to a planetarium,
Got it.
right, and literally there's a dome and the lights have been
got
projected
it,
onto
okay.
the. So
No,
why?
maybe you're right.
It looks real, doesn't it?
Maybe you're right. But what we can concur is your theory predicates on the notion that stars are about how far?
A few thousand
A
miles.
few thousand miles above us.
Yes.
Therefore, if the stars aren't a few thousand miles above us, your theory has a problem, yes?
Absolutely.
Okay, so really
Now
we could take this...
prove the stars are millions and trillions of miles
So
away.
now we could take this whole discussion and start shifting it into a discussion about how far away the stars are instead of discussing flat Earth. And if we can resolve that discussion, it will have a knock-on
Where's the
effect on
stellar
this
parallax?
discussion. Huh?
Where's the stellar
I
parallax?
don't even know what it is, and I don't want to claim to know what I don't know.
There's no parallax.
What's the stellar
There's no
parallax?
Stellar parallax, yeah?
Yeah.
So the constellations that we see, aren't exactly how they appear in the sky, yeah? So, say the Big Dipper, yeah? The Big Dipper. The end of the Dipper, yeah, is here, right? The next star could be like another trillion miles away that one. And so on, yeah? They could be all... Right, so if the Earth was...
Go on. I'm not understanding you, but maybe
Right,
it's
from
me.
our perspective, they look like they're all in a line at the same distance away, yeah? And it makes that shape in the sky.
Oh shit, I wasn't using anything as mundane as my eyesight to judge this shit. I was going to use scientific
Don't
methods.
stop the try and derail what
I'm not, I'm just
Well,
trying
you
to...
are.
the
I just said
example
stellar parallax. Just because you don't understand it, I'm trying to explain it to you.
Okay,
If you
that's
don't
fair-
want to
okay,
don't want to know,
okay,
then
fair
let's
point.
move
Okay,
on.
look, can I clarify a point about stellar paradox?
You don't know
stellar
what it is.
I know, so I'm trying to learn.
They do
okay.
not look the same.
Does your stellar
not
paradigm...
One at a time.
When you're using the stellar paradigm
Parallax.
theory, does it parallax? Sorry. Does it predicate on me using my eyesight as the instrument to measure it, or something more sophisticated?
Whether it's eyesight or telescope, it's the same thing.
Ah, that's okay. So now you think that using scientific instruments to measure these things is just as valid as using eyesight. You don't think there's any qualitative difference between me just using my eyes and me using a far more sophisticated...
Let's just stick with our eyes, shall we? Let's just stick
No,
with...
let's
No.
not.
Let's stick with our eyes.
Okay, for the minute I will.
Because you
Let's just stick with
don't
our
know what I'm trying to say.
Okay,
in this.
fair enough.
Okay.
Go on.
So, that's how it works. So the stars are not the same distance away.
It's
They're
the
all sorts of
illusion. It's an
It's
illusion.
the illusion,
Fine.
right?
And in reality, they're about a few thousand miles away. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm talking about your model now. Okay.
Well, I asked you how far away the stars were, and you
Well,
said it was a few thousand miles.
You're doing the troll thing and trying
No, I'm
not to.
I'm trying to re-clarify if you want to stick with the statement you made earlier on camera. That's all.
Okay. I'm talking about your model now.
Okay, our globe model,
Yes.
with the stars being trillions of miles away.
Supposedly.
Okay, so what is your problem with that?
Right, so again, they're not all in a line, they're all different distances away. Okay? So the Earth apparently is spinning round,
Yes.
orbiting around the Sun.
Yes.
The Sun is moving in a corkscrew, alright, dragging the Earth behind it. Okay?
Not necessarily.
Well, yeah, we know that we're oscillating up and down the galactic plane, yes?
It's a globe model.
Sure, we're moving
Right, it has to
across
be-
the galaxy.
It has to be a corkscrew movement because there's no physics for an oscillation like that.
That's a globe model.
It's moving through the galaxy, sure. So what's your
Okay.
problem with the
But,
stars?
Again, the Earth is moving, right, millions of miles every moment, okay?
Relative to what?
Relative to these stars that are not the same distance apart.
Well, you don't believe that's true because you don't believe they're millions of miles away.
Well, hello, I'm talking about.
Sure.
Did I mention?
No, it's
Because you're just trying to.
he's trying to disprove the globe model right now.
Do you want me to hand it to you for a bit? Is that what you want to do?
I mean, I'm fine just having a conversation.
Do you mind if I pop back? Okay. Do you mind doing this both simultaneously? If we're polite and we don't overlap too much?
Yeah,
Is that
that's
okay?
fine.
Okay, carry on.
No, because
Quick one.
you're just there trying
If
to.
you're looking
different-
for-
No, I'm not. I'm trying to get consistent answers to
If you're
consistent
So you're saying the
if you're
stars
looking
should
for
move if
celestial
our...
navigation,
The-
you can only work on the planet.
The consistent,
I- I- I-
consistent
I advise you to research it, you
constellations.
don't know it, right?
They
That's
would
what
be
I'm trying to say,
consistent from
it's
night
only
to
works on
night
the planet.
because we're moving
There's a planet
millions of
right.
miles, right? Not only
Right.
in one direction, in several
I'm trying to
directions.
help you.
No, I
Now the
understand.
idea
I'm
of,
trying to help you.
of the stars being a long way away and
Both
not
talk,
seeing parallax
I can
is
explain to you.
any movement in
Celestial
that plane of
navigation, you need a
motion.
baseline to
Yeah,
get
no,
the right
but you
angle.
won't see any movement because
The problem is that the distance that we're moving
Right angle
is
shot.
relatively insignificant with how far the stars are. So
Right.
if you look at the right triangle, like if this is a trillion miles, a million miles is like...
okay, I will concede that. Yeah?
Yeah.
Now what I'm saying is that only works in one plane of motion. yeah? If I'm looking at a star over there and from millions of miles away, and I move this way, it won't move, right? I jump up, it won't move, right? Anything in that plane of motion won't move. But if I do that, it's gone. If I do that, so movement in other planes of motion, it disappears.
Inevitably,
it moves.
why wouldn't it? Of course it would. It's consistent.
Sorry,
with our
look, I'm looking at his nose as a star.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's right, it does.
and if it was 100 miles away, 1,000 miles away, if I do that, his nose wouldn't move.
Correct.
If I did that, his nose wouldn't move.
Correct.
If I did that, his nose wouldn't move. Yeah? But if I did this, his nose moves.
Who's disagreeing with that? It's a truism.
Right. So I'm saying the Earth is moving in several different directions at once.
That's the
The
heliocentric
constellations
model.
are not that.
That's the heliocentric
Yes,
model.
but you're not seeing any stellar parallax. Even though the Earth is moving in several different directions at once.
You would see it over hundreds of years.
Yeah,
To be honest, I just, with respect, I just got him to the point where he asserted that the stars are only a few thousand
Okay, so
miles
so
away,
question.
okay?
So what's your block?
Okay,
And
why
we've
don't we
moved
just
on,
go for
we've
that?
moved
I'm just
on
going to ask him
to their model.
1 second, I'm guessing you know more about physics than I do, right? I was then going to ask him, if the stars are only a few thousand miles away, what's your opinion on redshift? Would that be a reasonable
Right,
question?
yeah.
What's your opinion? Because your case predicates on the notion the stars are only a few thousand miles away. You've heard of redshift, yes?
Okay.
Okay, what do you make of redshift? How
I
do you
don't know.
account for the phenomenon of redshift?
I don't know.
Thank
See
you.
ya.
That is an honest
So,
answer.
well, I mean, you're
because
expecting me to know everything.
I'm
See ya.
expecting you to construct
Come
a
again.
self-consistent theory. And
I'm
when,
not going to make something up.
Okay, no, and I appreciate you won't. I think that's the best thing that you've said, is that there's something you don't know and you don't want to make anything up. But given that the scientific community has bumped into the Doppler effect, is it the Doppler
Right.
effect, yeah?
Doppler effect's different, I think.
Oh, sorry, I mean the redshift is an example of, like, when a police siren goes past.
Oh, no, that
That's
is Doppler.
Doppler.
That is
Yeah,
Doppler.
so it's an
But that's
example
not Doppler. Redshift isn't Doppler.
back me up. What's it called?
I'm not sure familiar with redshift.
Can somebody... Okay, the phenomenon when a police car drives by you, the
That's
sound
Doppler.
changes.
That's the Doppler.
That's the Doppler effect, which is analogous to redshift. It's the same thing.
Okay.
I don't know what
It's the fact that the source of the frequency... Sorry, you'd know.
No.
The fact that the...
Redshift is proving the stars are moving far from away. Okay. It's accelerating and they're moving faster and faster from us.
Okay.
Now, you can hear this. You like doing experiments just through your senses. Empirically, we hear this when a police car goes by. We all know the sound. It comes towards us and we hear high pitch.
So
it goes away, we hear low pitch.
you've already got from me that I don't have an answer for it.
Okay,
So
okay,
why are
you
you
get-
still
okay.
pushing it?
Well, because given that we collectively do...
Just
Hang
no.
on,
You've
asked me
got
the question, I'll
an
give you-
answer,
I'll give you
right?
the-
That nobody can test.
I know, I'll give you... No, you can totally test it.
You
Given-
can't.
Can I finish?
You can't though.
Given... You asked...
You can't.
You asked... One at a time, okay?
You can't.
What do you mean? Literally me now?
You
here?
cannot test it, can you?
I can go to
Yeah.
people who can.
You
and it
can't.
can
No,
be,
you.
What, this
For what?
second? No, I don't have the equipment. But if I had the equipment, I could test it.
If you had the equipment, maybe you can test it. Yeah?
You can't be basing an argument on the fact that because I don't have the tools available to do the job, I'm not capable of doing the job. That would be crazy. You're not arguing with me.
I'm saying,
You're not
right?
saying.
I am saying, right? All we're dealing with is interpretations.
Of
yeah?
Everything is interpretations, but the skill is in making the best
Right,
interpretation.
based on
and the best
assumptions, a
Okay.
lot of assumptions.
Everything is based on assumptions, but the best interpretation is the one that creates
Well,
the most. Can I finish?
I'm glad that you admit it, that
Totally.
most of science is based on assumptions.
because I'm
Always
primarily
begging the question.
not.
Okay, I'm
It's
primarily
always
no.
begging the question.
I'm primarily here for the philosophy, so I know that everything is
How
ultimately
far
based
away
on
is the
assumptions.
sun?
I could look it up for you real
Damn, we're
quickly.
nearly there.
Supposedly 93 million miles, yeah?
Don't let him get off redshift.
Okay.
We're not on the road.
So did you know,
Let me look up redshift real quick.
Okay, look up redshift Doppler effect, okay? Now you asked
I've
me the
already
question.
said I don't have an answer
Okay,
for
good.
it.
So it's on the record. You don't have an answer.
Just because I don't have an answer doesn't mean that you are right.
Correct. I'm not saying it
So
does.
then why
But
are
I'm
you
saying-
still pushing it?
I'm answering that
Because
question.
you've got
I'm
something-
answering that
Yes,
question.
okay.
Thank you. What
Slightly.
can we reasonably infer? It is Doppler effect.
Yeah,
Yes, thank
yes.
you. It is Doppler effect. What can we reasonably infer from the fact that in your paradigm you can't answer a particular question, but in our paradigm we can? And
My
although we might both-
paradigm
Can I finish?
is that I haven't looked into it.
Great. Okay.
There's a
So-
huge amount of this thing. So
pending-
I haven't looked into everything.
again,
you
I-
expect me to know everything?
No, I don't.
You're
I
going to be
appreciate,
sadly
no, I
mistaken.
appreciate your honesty, and you may be right. I'm looking at methodology. But in methodological terms, given that you haven't looked yet, but our representatives have looked,
The point
could you
is,
give the possibility
the
that
point
maybe the
is-
data, let me finish, maybe the data they're bringing to the table is relevant because it's totally self-consistent with their premise, but it's not self-consistent with yours. So maybe you should
Just
hold
because
back
I
until
don't
you've looked at
know,
it.
just because I don't know, doesn't mean it's not
I
self-consistent.
already conceded
I
that,
don't know that.
but I'm saying-
so. You can't make that that assumption.
I just did. I
No,
said that
you can't make that assumption.
my-
Just because I don't know, it's not
I
self-consistent.
did, all I said was...
Because I could go to another flat earther,
All I said was-
and he might have looked
all
into it.
Good.
I don't know.
All I said was either of us could be right, but my test of a good model is one which is self-consistent given the maximum
On one
amount of
topic
data.
that I don't
on
happen
all
to know.
on all topics. On all
Actually, the point that you've got
What's
flat
your
earthers.
test of a good theory?
The point that you've got flat earthers is that we're looking at your model. It doesn't work.
Well, you're not looking at some of the data we're trying to show you that you don't seem to want to look at, which has to do with redshift, and our model is entirely
You're hanging
consistent
on to
with
this just because I couldn't answer it.
I'm not hanging on.
Okay, so question.
Sorry?
So all the videos. So
Say again? How?
private spaceflight is taking off right now. Like,
Sorry, you're blocking his camera.
and there's not a single video where a rocket leaves up. They have video footage from ground to space, and it's yes they do.
Season,
How does
no,
that
they
work
have
in my
nothing-
favour? That works
Nothing from ground
against
to
me.
space.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, would you like
green
to see
screen.
it?
Are you showing the curve?
Oh no,
Green
would you like to see
screen
like if
pole.
you look
How
up
stupid
SpaceX
of it.
video?
Seriously, the guy is
Yeah,
Right
you-
there
you
from
see-
ground, there's a camera on the rocket from ground to space. You can see the entire journey.
But no, what shows
Why not?
I'll tell him about
CGI. Is that translation?
No
hear you. It's getting louder and louder here. Sorry, let me
spacecraft goes
try-
above 70 miles.
One thing at a time.
Okay.
Above the Earth?
Above the Earth.
I would be very inclined to disagree.
Right. So what I did, right? I took got a video from YouTube of the space shuttle filmed from a passenger jet. Okay. So when that space shuttle took off,
All right, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
when the space shuttle took off, the moment it passed the horizon, right? Because the horizon always rises up to eye level, that means that horizon is 7 miles up, okay? Because from the viewpoint of that plane at 35,000 feet, 7 miles up, right? The horizon was right there. That
7
means
miles up.
7 miles up, 35,000 feet, okay?
Okay, sure.
Right, so that was a measuring stick we've now got, 7 miles, yeah? Now I literally took all the pictures of this video, I took snapshots of the video, yeah? And pieced together the entire curve of that takeoff, yeah? And extended the measuring stick.
Okay, and the important thing is, it was always to the eye level of the observer. Now, you got
So planes coming this way. Just let me clarify what the video is.
Yeah, go on,
So
go on.
passenger jet coming here.
Yeah, go on.
So okay, this is the rocket, right? Let's say this is space shuttle.
No, listen to what he said first.
He is listening.
He's saying the rocket's gone up, and the eye level, the horizon has not, it's always the same to what he's looking at.
From
Now,
the
you
passenger
need-
jet.
At this point in time, you need an imagination. Because what that means is, have you got
I
an
prefer
imagination?
video proof.
Okay,
but-
well,
We can use both.
Have
Yeah,
you got-
okay,
you've
sure.
got an
Imagine it,
imagination?
imagine.
No,
Okay.
none at all. You're
So
the only
you
guy
guys
on the planet with
just
an
listen, this is
imagination,
really
okay?
important, right? So just imagine this is the horizon.
Yeah.
We're rising. And it's always to the eye view of the observer. What
Where's
does that
the
tell
observer?
you?
On the
What does that tell you?
I'm not even understanding your question.
Well,
Sorry.
because
Maybe I'm
that's
lack
why you don't
imagination.
get all this.
Okay, what's the scenario? What's the
Okay,
scenario?
so
you're right.
Could you answer my question? This is
Well,
where the
you handle
passenger.
it from here, Dave. You handle it from here.
So what's the video? So space shuttle is rising.
So
This
there's
passenger-
Yes, just stop there, you're gone.
aircraft going along here,
Okay.
space shuttle's rising.
Okay.
Right, so
PhD
the
people,
horizon
scientists,
is
they don't
always
know
at
what
the
they're
eye level of the observer, okay?
So if he's looking straight.
No,
He's
you
looking
need to
out
get
the
that
window of the
Get them on
plane.
one
The
Horizon.
horizon is always at the
But
eye
they're
level.
re-dragging the
As
to
long
a
as
different
the eye level.
context, and he's falling
So
for it because he's
when
knowledgeable.
that space shuttle hit the
Strangely enough, his
horizon,
knowledge base
now
is
we
working
know that
against
space shuttle is 7 miles up.
because it's not
Because-
strategic.
Because we know where the passenger plane was. Okay, sure. Okay.
Right. So that's a measuring stick. Yeah?
Okay.
So I extended the measuring stick out. Yeah. I took the video, right, and did snapshots of the trajectory, right, and put all the snapshots together to get the accurate trajectory, and it curved under 70 miles. What goes
Yes.
Now,
Because, okay, let me explain a really key principle of rocket science. In order to get into
Sorry, you guys are still
orbit,
blocking,
you
sorry,
need to
that
go
camera.
sideways really fast.
indeed,
Not up. You need to go sideways really fast. That's why it comes. So,
but not in the atmosphere.
yes, you start going right in the atmosphere. You start
If you get to 70 miles and you don't go any higher, yeah, okay, because remember the Kármán line is 100 miles.
Yes.
Right? 70 miles up, you don't get any higher because, again, the curve starts going down now. Yeah?
You realize if I shot a gun at, like, if I shot something at enough speed, just straight that way, and it hit nothing, it would be in orbit.
That's Newton's
Well, no,
cannon.
obviously he doesn't believe that.
That's
'cause he doesn't
Newton's
think the Earth
cannon,
is round.
right? And that's Newton's cannon, the thought experiment. Yeah?
That's never been
Right.
shown.
There are several problems with that idea. Okay.
You don't believe in escape in orbital velocity?
No, that's
No, of course
a
he doesn't
bullshit
because he
thought.
thinks he has.
Okay.
Seriously.
Do you
I think you're
mind?
the most.
Do you
No, I
mind?
do, man. I'm talking to him for a second. I think you're the most knowledgeable guy around here. Okay. However,
Well,
strategically, you're
Right.
falling into their traps.
No, you're
Stick
right.
them
No,
on
we're
red
not.
shift.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's science,
Height
it's
of the
pure
stars.
science.
I've got them on
The
the height
horizon.
of the stars. Okay. He's admitted that if the height of the stars above the Earth isn't, say, a couple of 100,000 feet, 100 miles, then his theory's got a fundamental problem with it. I've kicked back in by talking about Doppler effect, and redshift, which we have measured. He has said that
You measured. Sorry, you measured.
No,
Oh no, we measured. You said it.
technically you got me on sophistry. The position that we represent.
Religion represents.
My religion has apparently measured, okay? Now, given that our guys seem to have data that you haven't yet seen, I'd like to do you the courtesy of showing you that data so you can explain to us. Because
As
our
I
model,
said,
what's your
it's
test?
something I haven't looked at
Okay,
yet.
so until you have, is it possible you've
And
missed
you're
something?
hanging on to it because it's the only thing you
I'm
can
not.
hang on to.
No, it's not the
Like
only
a
thing.
dog.
No, it's a central thing that exists that is uncontroversial.
Okay, so there's a lot of video out there of from space, from the ISS, from various different satellites. What do you say to all that footage?
Okay. We find when we study ISS footage, we find mistakes, inconsistencies.
Go
We
that
find
side.
green screen videos. There's one famous one with three astronauts, 3 or 4 astronauts, in front of the camera doing their little thing, right? And they say, okay, thank you very much. The event has ended. And all of a sudden, that particular video layer with them and a few items in the foreground starts to glitch. Yeah? Literally the shape of the 3 men, right? All the colours start to meld in, including a green colour that wasn't in the background. Okay, it's a green screen glitch. I found drips dropping from in the background. There's a video of a Dutch astronaut floating to a panel, unscrewing a screw and dropping it, and you can hear it clattering around, and him searching around on the floor for it. Yeah, in the Chinese space station, right? We've seen all the little jokes of the water in a ball and they go, oh, all that, yeah? There's a glass of water sitting on there, level. Right? There's mistakes.
You're
You
letting
look
him
for 'em.
distract you.
He's obviously not going to go for it. Like, he's
No,
not going to
but
explain.
just stick to the one point.
The red did,
Hang
which
on.
is
Just stick with one point.
but
He's
he's
not
not
The
going
one
going
to
to
go
go
for it.
He's
point,
not gonna go
the
for
one
it.
point I said I don't know anything about.
Okay, so I want to.
So leave it.
No, that's
Because-
why. No, we found an area where you're ignorant. Let us pursue that for a minute.
Oh, for
okay.
crying
So
out-
why wouldn't I do
Listen,
that? Okay?
because I can't
Okay,
answer
so why?
it.
Okay, ask
I
me
can't
this.
answer
Why
it.
would they fake it?
Just
Why would
concentrate
they?
on the
You're
horizon
doing the moon
and
landing.
why
You're
the eye
insane.
level always
Don't go there.
always
You're
goes to the
distracting your
horizon.
attention.
When you're ready.
The horizon, the eye level always goes to the horizon. Think of that. Just think of
Spirit level
that.
on an aeroplane when you
Forget
fly
all
to
this other
Australia.
shit about their
Spirit
what
level
they're not using.
Don't let him shift you. Tactic. You
That's
know
the
much
key
more.
thing. If
This
they
is
can
a
get that
great
right, that's it.
why.
It's done.
Why is it lie?
Please calm.
It matters.
Yeah?
Okay, lie, why?
It's okay. Let me have you answer that one. Why? What is the purpose? Like,
Okay.
if they were lying, what would it serve? What purpose would it serve?
So, if you take the Paula theory, the theory of evolution, and the Big Bang
Oh, you don't
theory,
believe in evolution either?
No,
Are
I
you
don't.
getting even more
Yeah, I
distracted?
mean-
Okay,
You're
alright.
becoming less persuasive
Yeah.
than he
I'm
is.
trying to
For God's
answer
sake,
why.
man.
I'm going to try and answer it, but if you can stay out of it while I'm answering this next
Well,
question.
because he's an easier hit.
No,
And he's more knowledgeable
he's
than I am.
listening. He's
I know
listening.
he's
possible.
He's
And
not
not interrupting me.
walk him
He's
away from the
listening and
central
not
topic.
interrupting.
We're
He
now
asked me the
discussing
question.
evolution.
Did you not ask me the question?
Yeah, you headed into evolution.
Right.
No, I'm not. I was
You
just shocked.
gave him
I was
an
briefly
angle to
shocked.
come
My
in.
bad. All right, sorry. Go ahead. What's the purpose? Just like we'll go back to it. But like, what's the purpose
He's
of
trying
it?
to distract. He's stuck in the diving.
No, you asked the question. I'm
yeah,
not
go ahead.
distracted. I'm answering a question.
I
Right.
understand
So,
religion under attack.
with those three theories, right?
No, not at
it
all.
makes
It's a
it
religion.
look
The globe one is a religion.
I've got
clinging
far
to a speck
bigger,
of dust.
far
in an
bigger fish to
infinite
fry than worry about this
universe.
thing.
It's a religion.
There's
Globe
no
one. It's a
creator.
religion.
It all
I
happened
believe.
by
There's no
accident.
evidence.
Yeah?
It's
So
a
you have no
belief.
purpose.
It's a
You're
belief.
less than
Take your
worthless
spirit
because
level on
there's
a plane,
millions of
fly
other
to
planets
Australia.
with millions of other
John
people
Moon.
around and all that stuff. Yeah?
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, he's
If
not here.
for a small group of people, right, to enslave 7 billion people, right, you need to first psychologically weaken them. And that's what this does. It psychologically weakens them.
It seems to not have distracted the thousands, millions of people who are religious.
Sorry, say again?
There's millions of people who are religious. It doesn't seem to have distracted them.
Unfortunately, though, in the back of everyone's psyche is this idea that we don't have a purpose. So powerful people on this earth, right, give us a purpose. You know what that purpose is? Do well at school, get a good job, earn lots of money, get meaningless crap until you die.
How far away
That's
from
the
the
purpose.
point have you now let them take you?
Okay,
Because he asked a question.
Staggering that you've
He
gone
asked
this
a
deep
question.
into semantics and conspiracy theories instead of trying to sit with a hard science.
You asked
which
a
is where
question.
we just had it.
He did ask.
Okay? We just
My
had
bad.
it.
This is pretty enjoyable for me, just to keep winding
Okay,
down.
no, I get, but it's enjoyable. But unfortunately, when he plays back on camera, he's actually going to look like he's doing rather a good job.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh, and you can't have that, can you?
No, you do the best job you can, but you want
Oh,
to
for
be
crying
tested
out
as
loud.
well.
No,
You
you've
should be
just said
tested.
it. You've just
Stop.
said it all.
Here's
Now
my
can you
question.
step back?
No, I'm engaged in this. I came here to discuss with you.
Yeah, because you want to make sure I don't look good.
Basic question.
Okay.
What's your test of a good theory? Because I'll
Listen,
tell you mine. What's your test of a good theory?
I was actually talking to this guy,
I
and
know,
he
because
sounds
you-
good.
No, I thought we were having an open forum here.
Well, no, this guy just wants to try and...
No, I want to
Ground model
focus
is a
your
religion.
attention
You're
on what
religious if you
constitutes a
if you defend the
solvent
ground model,
coherent
you're
theory.
religious.
What's your
I
test of a
religious.
good theory?
I
How
just
do you
find
define
it-
a good theory?
Experiment.
Testable, repeatable.
Testable and repeatable.
Yeah,
Okay?
there's another word. I can't
Okay,
remember what it is.
we actually agree. I think testable and
What?
repeatable.
Falsifiable.
Right, testable, repeatable, falsifiable, and self-consistent.
So you don't believe?
Would
So do you
agree?
have
Are you making that one up?
method?
Because
No, I'm
there's
not
only-
making that
there's only
up.
three.
No, that
There's-
absolutely has to be in the mix. Self-consistent. Do you not buy the premise of self-consistency?
Well, if that
it's not
self-consistency is
upside down
based
for
on
that.
assumptions, right? But,
Everything is based on assumptions.
well, then nothing could be self-consistent, can it? If it's based on
Logically doesn't follow. Now you're talking philosophy, which is
Water
not
is
your
level.
field. It
You're
totally
talking
can.
around in circles
Can I
here.
do one? No.
Water is level, and
realize
that's a
the center of
fact.
gravity is
And we
at the
can
middle
measure
of
it
the
in your
earth,
bottle,
right?
we
Center
can
of
measure
earth
it
is-
in a
center of
lake,
gravity is
and
in
we
the
can
middle.
measure it
So
over the
all
ocean.
center
So
of gravity is
slam
shit.
dunk,
Down
your
is
globe,
relative.
your spinning ball. You don't want to talk about curvature over the water. You want to come here and straw man bullshit. Bring me
Shut my
water
mouth.
curving.
He's
Bring
proved
me
it.
water curving and bring
he
me
has
the
that.
I
spinning
stand-
earth.
I stand
You
corrected.
can't believe it,
The man
but
has
your
proved
religion is
that
under
because
attack,
that
my
water
friend.
is flat.
Your
the
religion
earth is
is
flat.
Listen, if
That's
I...
a good
that
premise
water
to
is
start.
flat,
Observation,
obviously the earth is
measure,
flat.
test, repeat.
If I got a,
Lighter than
if
you.
I
You-
got,
that's
a-
because
sir.
ice
if
floats
I
in the
got,
glass.
if I got a clear
Yeah, ice
hose,
is
yeah,
ice,
and filled it
right?
with water,
Ice
yeah,
and water.
mark
Ice
the
is a
level
mass.
here.
It floats up
I asked
because
you
it
what
is
was
Let
a
me
good
finish.
lighter
theory.
than
We
water.
shifted. You keep shifting ground.
No,
to the
because you're
basic
laughing.
axiom.
You're laughing at what you
Can't get
said.
out of
I'll
water
come to your broad
shallow
argument.
end.
I
You're
want to
wasting
know
time
what
on
you're
your
doing.
engine.
Self-consistent
You're
theory.
laughing at
time.
that.
It's funny.
Right,
What?
get a clear
You
tube,
and
get a clear tube, fill it with water, mark it where the water is, and if that tube is a mile
How
long,
he's ducking and diving what constitutes a good theory.
I'm
which is where
answering
we
what
were.
you just said.
I'm not. He raised it. I don't give a
And
damn
you
about
laughed.
that. I
I realize
You
the
laugh
reason
like
it's
a
funny.
yes, well, you think it's
It
funny,
is so
but
far
I'm
away
trying to
that
show you
our
it's not
curvature
funny.
is
I don't
regular.
want to talk about this. You're
Well,
using
you
it to
were
get
a minute
trillions
You're
of
using it
miles.
to distract
A
the
few
question.
miles does not
What's your
matter.
test of a good theory?
I told you.
Okay, and we were on that conversation, and I added in self-consistent, and you seem to query if that was a good idea, because you said everything is an
So if
assumption.
you're looking at a star, you're looking at
When you
yeah.
base your theory on
Elevation of what? You want to figure out
Okay,
how
so
far the
now what
star
we're
is?
into is a field called epistemology and hermeneutics, which is you're arguing that because information is an
So why did
assumption,
you ask that
it's not
question?
valid, because I want to see how much we agree. I aspire to self-consistency. Do you? Yes or no?
Okay, give me your definition of self-consistency.
Something which from all frames of reference gives consistent information to account for its properties and its chains of causality. Something which doesn't create a conflict of data.
Then the whole point of the flat Earth is that we are seeing the inconsistencies.
Right, so you believe in a self-consistent universe.
Okay, with your definition, I'm saying we are seeing the inconsistencies.
believe- right.
This is why your theories don't hold
Right,
up.
so you and I are both aspiring to models which are self-consistent, yes? You and I are
I'm
both...
here to listen to you.
Alright, no, just don't block his camera. You and I are both aspiring to models which are self-consistent and testable and objective, yes?
Okay, but
Okay.
again,
Okay, our model, if you include redshift, which you haven't looked at yet, that's not your fault, it may be alright. Our model, when we include data that you apparently haven't looked at
So,
yet,
you know what you're
does
doing?
seem to produce, can I finish, does seem to produce a model that's self-consistent, yes? Now, seeing as we have a model which is self-consistent and encompasses more data than yours does, possibly you should go slightly on hold until you've assimilated our data in to see if your model is as self-consistent as ours, because it would appear not to be the case.
right.
Okay?
Now,
Thank you for
you are
listening.
just hanging on to this idea just because I don't have a consistent answer for you, right? You're hanging on to that, and based on that, you're saying building a case around that. Listen,
That's called an axiom.
be quiet, right? I was quiet for you. Right. We have written hundreds of areas of experience that we've tested, and the model does not fit, right? The model we've been given since childhood does not fit. So it is not self-consistent.
Right, that's your interpretation of your data.
Indeed.
And as you pointed out, it's filled with assumptions, and one of us is making wrong assumptions.
well,
yeah? I'm willing to concede it might be me.
Both
Are you willing to concede it might be you?
both sides are working on assumptions.
Of course, so we
But
agree that.
what we're doing, right, when we're doing our experiments, like the laser test, yeah, we're not putting our assumptions in there.
Yeah, exactly. The laser test is a better empirical experiment, which is why I said to you, do you want to come and do another one on camera, and we'll test it? And if the eye line does raise, will you then concede there's a strong possibility that there's a problem with your theory? And you said yes.
If you can get funding for an experiment, right? I was going to do an experiment just before lockdown happened.
Well, to be honest, it sounds like it needs some willing people and a boat and a laser
No,
beam. It probably doesn't cost that much.
a better proof of whether the Earth's flat or round.
No, I've had
Either
the
way.
proof. Hang on, we're happy.
National Geographic did one, and the argument
If you're happy with the laser beam lake boat experiment, and I'm happy with it, we can do that.
Okay.
We just need somebody
I'm
with a
just
boat,
saying,
yeah?
I had an
happy to do it?
experiment that showed one way or the other. I can't say which one's going to happen.
We can both embrace
What was the
it.
experiment? I'm just curious.
So the idea was I actually got a scientist who didn't believe in the flat Earth to come along with me on a flight, a direct flight from London to Perth. Okay? Right, so in front of him was going to be a sealed box with a gyroscope, electrically powered gyroscope, sitting in that box.
Sorry,
Okay?
you having that? No. Give me a second. Sorry, go ahead, keep going.
Okay, so the box will be sealed, right? Power the inside and everything, right? The gyroscope will be powered up for the whole 8 hours of the flight. Okay. Now, if we take off, right? We set it go. Sorry, before we take off, set it off spinning. Yeah. If we get to Perth and that gyroscope is flipped over, then we're on a ball. If that gyroscope stays upright the whole flight, you know, bearing in mind all the movements of the plane, but if it stays up the right way, then the Earth is flat.
Would you like me to disprove that real quick?
Well,
There's a problem with the experiment, like inherently.
Do you want to be in here because I can't see your face?
Yeah, okay. So there's a problem with that experiment inherently. So the fact is that the gyroscope also works in our method. Because the gyroscope doesn't flip over, because the center of gravity stays the same.
Oh no! Now you missed that. No, you're missing out. Right, rigidity in space. That is a property.
You're not in space when you're on a passenger plane.
Rigidity in space.
All right, what is that? Go ahead.
Well, don't you know?
I'm not familiar with the term. No.
Oh right, so we can hang on to that because you don't know.
I can look it up real quick.
Rigidity in space is once the gyroscope is set spinning, right, it will stay in its orientation regardless of gravity, of where it is on Earth. It is rigid in space. According to MIT physics professor, according to the whole idea,
It will be focused on the center of gravity.
no, because you can spin it up at 45 degrees and it will stay at 45 degrees no matter where you take it. No, rigidity in space. Look it up.
Sorry, just
He's
because
looking
all
it
I'm
up.
saying is it stays at a constant angle relative to the
It's literally just relative. Yeah.
No, because
You
okay,
misunderstood the physics.
look at the MIT physics professor.
Yeah, and they specifically say it's relative. I can look it up
Relative
real
to what?
quick. To the plane.
It's relative to the center of gravity.
Can I say just something?
Let me have a look.
Yeah, have a look.
So are you using MIT professor to prove something that MIT professor doesn't say?
He's
MIT professor is for the flat earth.
Gyroscopes have two properties. Gyroscopes have two properties. rigidity in space
cherry pick a professor.
and precession.
This guy's a physicist. Give him some credit.
Water
Do you know about
working
gyroscope?
its way up the side of the outside of a
so do you know what
Come in a bit so
raise water to squeeze.
Come in a bit so they can hear you.
Do you know what rigidity in space is?
Rigid space, I never heard about
And
that.
an apple eventually gets
That's one of the fundamental properties of a gyroscope.
Tell me about this. Tell me,
I just said, right, when a gyroscope is set spinning, right, it will stay in its orientation regardless of gravity, regardless of where it is on Earth.
the orientation, okay, without any force, anything changes, right?
Right,
If you put any force, nothing changes.
artificial horizon on a plane is a gyroscope in a gimbal, yeah, which means it can freely move in 3 dimensions.
Are you exciting?
When
MIT
it-
professor,
You need to share the time.
Well, I haven't finished talking. He's just,
Okay, let him finish talking.
because
But
I
then
have
let him.
curiosity, even
so it's okay. He can.
Okay, no, hang on. Can I mediate then? Let him talk for a minute, but then he will let you respond, yeah? Do you want say 60 seconds? Have 60 seconds.
Okay.
Okay, go.
Artificial horizon in a plane is a gyroscope on gimbals that can freely move. Once it, where before the plane takes off, it spins up the gyroscope so it gets a reference to the ground. Okay, and now that gyroscope is free to move in that gimbal. When the plane moves around, the gyroscope stays rigid in space. Okay, that's what it is. It's rigid in space. It's not anything to do with the Earth. Nothing to do with
You want
gravity.
about 30 seconds? Keep going.
Right, that's it. I'm done.
Is that it? Happy? Okay, have a minute.
yeah. My question, I'm not. So this is okay. Yes. So my curiosity is this. I just a curiosity. So you are citing a MIT professor to prove that it is rigid in space, but the same MIT professor may say something against the flat Earth.
I'm saying.
No. It's my turn. My question is: are you cherry picking science?
No, because I'm just giving examples. MIT professors one. The United States Navy did a Navy film showing that gyroscopes are rigid in space. It shows a graphic showing the plane going over the Earth and the gyroscope staying level.
Okay.
There's several places you can go.
My turn. Well, can I ask us?
Well, he's jumped in again.
No, I'm not speaking.
Sorry,
much.
because I haven't got a clock. It's quite good. Let him talk. Give him a minute. Then you have to go.
I'm just talking a little bit. So I'm just straight questions. Okay, so have you ever used a gyroscope in space?
I've used a gyroscope. Yeah,
In space?
not in space.
Okay,
No.
so you don't never tried this?
Rigidity in space doesn't mean space.
He's asking,
It
have you
means
done it?
have you tried
Have you
this
done it
kind
up in space? He means that.
no. Have you?
No, neither, but you are against us because you are saying that we cannot prove now because we don't have the tools. But
No.
also in this case,
Rigidity in space doesn't mean space. It means it is rigid, right, with reference to space, not anything else. It means when you spin it up, right, it will stay level regardless of the Earth. Okay? And there are several places you can go and see this. Okay?
Isn't that just conservation of angular momentum? Am I out of my depth? It's just conservation of angular momentum.
You're just making that up, aren't you?
Oh, it's one of the most basic principles of probably O-level physics.
Okay.
Oh, look at every kid at school's learned this one. Sorry. I won't try and overly rub it in, but in fairness, you should be familiar with the conservation of angular
Yes,
momentum.
I know, but okay. Here's another experiment with a
Why
gyroscope.
did you duck free of that?
Here is another,
So there may be
just
something
to
you
show
want to
you
learn
you're
about
wrong.
because it's O-level
Just to show you
physics.
you're wrong.
I'm wrong about angular momentum.
Yes, just to show
I'm
you
wrong
wrong.
about angular momentum.
There's a guy called Rob
I'm sure he
Durham.
can correct you.
There's a guy called Rob Durham, right, who did an experiment for 6 hours. He filmed this for 6 hours. Yeah? Put a gyroscope, right, electrically powered gyroscope on the ground with a scale next to it, right, spun it up and filmed it for 6 hours.
Oh, well, forget the Royal Academy. If he did that for 6 hours, we can just chuck away the whole history of science.
Well, funnily enough,
Great.
we've
got angular momentum on the cards. Right now,
gyroscope did not move over
Probably
6
your
hours.
cameras are probably coordinating in angular momentum. The planes and the cars you
I'm
travel
sorry,
on, the principle
this
is inherent.
gyroscope didn't move for 6 hours.
Okay, well then, so you're saying all of the data, all the scientists are just plain stupid, and you, who don't know what angular momentum is yet, and you haven't checked redshift, you're the... No, this is two crucial
Listen,
things now you
listen.
don't know. You don't know
How
angular
do you know I
momentum.
don't know
Because you
anything?
said you don't. You said
I didn't say that.
Okay, you said you weren't familiar with redshift.
I said, right, redshift, yeah.
Okay, and now you're saying you're also
I'm
not
said it
familiar
doesn't
with...
apply. That's
Okay.
why I just gave you the Rob Durham example.
I thought you said you weren't familiar with redshift.
No, redshift, yes.
Okay, are you
I know-
familiar with angular momentum?
Yes.
Why
Now,
doesn't
now,
that explain the
I
situation?
just told you an experiment that you can go online and watch yourself. Yeah. that shows, right, that gyroscope, which should move, right, over 6 hours, should move, I can't remember, 90 degrees.
Okay, I haven't seen it. I must check it. Let me play devil's
Rob
advocate.
Durham.
Okay, if you have such a convincing YouTube demonstration,
More than
how-
that, I met the guy and he
Brilliant,
was
okay.
doing it, did he do it at Birmingham? He had the gyroscope.
So let's examine the universe where you're right and I'm wrong. In that universe, a guy's done an experiment, he's shown it to the world, and the entire scientific community seems to have gone, we don't give a shit, it's not a problem. Why have they done that?
Same reason they ignored Aries failure. Same reason they ignored Michelson-Morley, Michelson-Gale. Yeah?
So all of them are in a conspiracy. I mean, in China,
Why
in Russia,
don't
in
scientists,
Britain,
when you talk
all
about
of them are in a
Michelson-Morley,
conspiracy, yeah?
when you talk about Aries failure,
He was a very clever man, Michelson-Morley.
okay,
He
Aries
was a very
failure
clever man.
proved without a doubt.
I don't know.
Okay, you don't because nobody was
But
taught it.
nonetheless, can you concur that you were saying that all of the global scientific community are in a unified conspiracy to suppress this data, yes?
The scientific establishment is.
Well, that which will include at least, let's say, 1 million scientists, yeah?
Establishment.
There's 1 million people who are on YouTube, they're
As
on
I
telephones, and
said
none of them is
before-
contacting in and going,
As
by
I
the
said
way.
before, if you wanted to be a scientist, right, you have to answer the questions correctly. Okay? If you answer the questions outside of the model, you don't become a scientist.
So your answer to the question is, yeah, there's about 1 million people out there who are all in a conspiracy theory.
Who are all taught the same thing, the same ideas.
curriculum.
So
the
they
same
are in a
curriculum.
conspiracy theory, yeah?
Well, without knowing it.
Yes, they are. The answer is yes. So
Yes.
your theory predicates...
Without knowing it.
Sorry, I didn't say they knew it or not. I just want to clarify your theory. Your theory is that there are at least 1 million scientists worldwide who have access to experiments you've got, but because they're all in a conspiracy and cahoots together, they're not going to challenge
Not
it.
together.
Even though
Not
it clearly-
together.
None of them is coming.
Because they don't,
But
most
not
scientists
one
don't
of
know.
them- Okay, none of these millions of scientists, okay,
The
is coming in
establishment
and challenging your experiment.
When a scientist starts talking about flat Earth, starts wanting to do a flat Earth experiment, he doesn't get funding.
He doesn't need funding. He can do this in 10 seconds. He can do it while
Okay,
he's taking a tea break.
if he did that and tried to publish, he wouldn't get published.
Well,
No,
anybody
the
who can
majors
see the
against
ideas you're promoting will get a medal.
He wouldn't get published. It wouldn't happen.
Why
And-
wouldn't they want to debunk you?
They got
Be
gatekeepers.
consistent. We
They got
believe in
the
a
gatekeepers.
self-consistent universe. In a self-consistent
They got
universe,
gatekeepers.
could you be
It's the
quiet a minute?
same-
In a self-consistent universe, when you have 1 million scientists who are all motivated not to acknowledge the truth that you know, why wouldn't they come in to
It's
try
exactly
to debunk
the
you?
same
Understand?
as the pilots, right? The pilots who say, look, I can't see any curvature. There's all these things that don't work.
Why aren't
Hang
all these
on,
guys trying to
they don't
debunk
work.
you?
They get grounded.
Why is
They
it left
lose
to-
their job.
Why is it left to useless bums like me to do a job that they should be
I
able
don't
to
know.
do in
Why
10
are you
seconds?
doing that?
I find it interesting.
Well,
okay? I don't come here for this.
You like
I come
arguing?
here I like to discuss, no offence, deeper, more substantial ideas. This one to me is such a no-brainer. It can be interesting. It's still a revelation to me as to how difficult it can be to explain something that seems so 99.99999% certain I wouldn't give it the time of day.
Okay.
Okay? It's fascinating that the conversation can get this far without you completely just collapsing on the floor. And that's partially because you've got a faith in an idea, it's giving your life some meaning, it's made the world... No, I'll say my piece. I'll say my piece. Okay?
Don't
It-
insult me then.
Why not? Okay, you can...
Don't-
Okay, hang on. You're,
Don't insult
I'll
me.
allow you to insult me. in
Call me
return.
mentally ill, essentially.
I'm saying that
Yes,
I
hello?
No.
Leave
no,
it,
no,
okay?
No. Hold it.
Don't insult me.
Hold it. I've got to bring psychology into it.
No, you don't.
I think speakers...
It's nothing to
Hold
do
on.
with
I think
psychology.
speakers... No, psychology, as you said, interpretation and assumptions has got to do with
So
everything.
your interpretation is I'm crazy.
My interpretation is that once you've got a flag to fly,
What do you
it's
do? What do you
entertaining.
do? What is your job?
I write, among other things.
Sorry?
I write.
Okay.
Okay?
So do you write science books or anything? Script.
Among other things. And I do
But science books?
patents. No, not science
Okay.
books. Fiction.
Well, I was a computer programmer.
Okay.
Okay. One of the things I wrote were 3D modeling software. Okay. So I was literally applying the science to make these models
All I'm
work.
saying is,
The thing is,
human nature is such
I'm
that
not,
it's attractive.
I'm not an idiot.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not an idiot.
Okay, but you're
Hello.
okay.
I'm not an idiot.
From where I'm standing,
I am
your
looking
option-
at.
my options
I'm
are-
looking at things
My
right,
options
that
are-
disprove the model.
I know. I believe
Disprove the model.
being charitable. I believe
And then
you're
when I
disingenuous.
go to the scientist to say, look, I've disproved the model, what do you say? I get an ad hoc answer.
Actually,
which
why are you dismissing the possibility that you're an idiot?
Because now you're going to say, well, an idiot wouldn't know that you're an
You
idiot.
know Dunning, what is it? Dunning-Kruger?
Kruger.
Dunning-Kruger.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah, so okay, I'm an idiot.
No, hang on. I'm not going to dismiss the possibility I'm an idiot, because what I do
Well,
know
no,
from
no.
Dunning-Kruger is that people who are suffering from Dunning-Kruger don't know they're
Well, then,
suffering from
you know,
it. Yeah?
this is the
now,
point.
I might be guilty of that.
Again, it's one of
So I'm
those
trying
things
to
that you
level the
can't prove
insult.
either way.
No, we can't. But so good. We're back to the idea about assumptions, because the question then is, given that we
But
know...
you've just assumed that I'm an idiot.
No, I'm not saying
yes,
you are.
did. You just said it.
I'm putting on the table this possibility we're both idiots.
Right,
Okay, we're both idiots. Now, when it comes to assumptions, could we agree that everything is an assumption, and I'll buy that, but not all assumptions have equal merit, yeah? Some assumptions have higher quality than others. Now, what I'm aiming for, and I hope you're aiming for, is to embrace the assumptions which have got the best chance of being right, and I'm doing it on the basis that the assumptions that have got the best chance of being right will be the ones which are ideally objectively testable and self-consistent, yes, at minimum, and will embrace the maximum amount of data and aspire to
How
embrace
do
the
you
maximum amount
test
of data.
the distance from the sun?
Well, you can
How do you
use
test that?
Okay, redshift for one thing would help, but I think I might have to see to my physicist friend
Yeah,
to tell
okay.
me more.
How do you test
Actually,
the
how
distance
do
from
they
the
know
sun?
it's a quarter of a million miles?
Not a quarter of a million miles, it's 93
Sorry,
million.
that's the moon. I'm talking. Thank you. Actually, did you just say it's 93 million miles?
According to the model, yeah.
Where does? Oh, okay. So that's not what you believe.
No.
Sorry, I
So,
meant the
come
moon.
on, how do you test the distance of the sun?
First of all, I don't test that. I think
Oh, you
that-
don't know?
I didn't
He doesn't know!
I didn't say that.
We must be right then! Yay!
Actually, should we just go yay there, right? And we can see. Yay! That proves.
So, how
that
do you
it's
test
an
for
idiot.
the How do you test the distance of the
One
sun?
second, don't be aggressive. It's not a fight.
Oh, no, come on, how do you test?
No, you're aggressive. You're aggressive. Yeah, it's a discussion among friends, right?
All right,
Yeah.
that-
Yeah. So, first of all, I think there's
Getting closer.
yeah, you know, there are many reasons to see the distance. The distance is for gravity, the speed the Earth is doing around the circle, and also from the equation of gravity it matches the distance. No? So there are.
I thought it was today. Gravity relate to something's distance. Gravity is just basically
Gravitational
how-
pull is
Well,
it's proportional
can I
to
chip in?
distance. It's inversely related
Wasn't
to
it?
the mass
Okay.
of the object, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so because the maths works, and it does work, that's why the planes fly.
Sorry?
You can see that the flight
Oh, no, I
idea
was going to
works.
say
They've
the
got that
distance,
one.
the various distances.
And they're doing it predicated
I
on the
thought they did it
assumption
because
that
something
mass
was
generates
related.
gravity
Yeah, they had to-
inversely proportional to the relationship of the two bodies, yeah?
Well,
and
that
hence
means
the
you have to guess
equation
the mass first.
Sorry?
So that means you'd have to have a guesstimate of the mass first. So first you need to guesstimate the mass of the sun.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and I might fall flat on my face here, and he'll correct me if I'm wrong. I would have thought you can calculate the mass by looking at the density of 1 square centimetre and then working out the volume.
how do you know
If
the
you
density?
have not
How
got
do
a
you do
solid
that?
piece, how can you, if you've got not a solid piece of matter
Yeah,
from the
imagine-
sun, how
No,
on
not the
earth?
sun. I'm just saying, what's a
No,
method
no,
for
you
testing
just said, how do you
One
test
second,
the,
one second.
the
Let me get straight.
mass of the sun?
This is not about. I'm not representing the science, right?
Well, you don't know.
Why should I represent
He's
the
not on
science?
look, we
Well,
agree with this. Can we
I'm
agree
just
with this?
person.
Can I say one thing?
I'm just a person passing by here.
Can we
And
agree
I
with
think
this?
I
Can we agree with this though, on one thing?
Why-
There's not one person existed on this
Are you-
planet
are
that's
you
actually
trying-
tested a piece of matter from the sun. Can we say that? Can we say there's not ever been someone on this earth to test a square
Are you
cube
a
of volume
scientist?
of the actual density of something
Actually,
on
that's
the
not
sun?
true. Well, if I wanted to be
So
I
someone's
think
been
if I
the
wanted to
sun
be
and got a
pedantic,
piece
I
of
would argue that all of the elements on the Earth were actually crushed down in the sun to begin with. So anything you test here came from the sun.
No. We can only guesstimate what the in the sun by the not by the actual electromagnetic spectrum and the colours what's given up.
The
There's
elements,
different
everything
gases.
you're made up of, the carbon, yeah, all of the hard elements were crushed down in the sun and then expelled.
So-
That's what
No,
we're
but
made
what I'm
of.
saying, how we define what the sun is
Pretty
made
good
of, we look at the electromagnetic spectrum because different spectral lines is given off from different gases when it's burned.
Yeah, mass spectrometry.
Yes, so that's when we guess, we go, right, it's made up a bit of argon, it's made up a bit of
and we get,
helium.
so because we get
So
self-consistent...
that's the only way we
right,
actually
but because
guess
we get
this.
self-consistent data, because you can take same
Would it
amounts of
surprise
gases and
you?
test them
Would
terrestrially,
it surprise
then do it
you
up
to know
there, you get a
that
self-consistent predictions, and after a while you get more and more
said
confidence.
To
that
me,
the
my
sun
personal
was
prediction, that's
10
not
million
bigger than
miles
this
away.
earth. That sun's not bigger than
there have been
Why? Just 'cause it
like,
doesn't look that
about
way?
20 people
No, it just-
have
it's
given
just- it's just not
different
bigger than the
distances
that's an
to the
argument.
sun.
Just say
right?
it.
Even the heat,
Fern-
you already talk about how
Newton said
hot the sun
it
is. I
doesn't
think that's the
matter
most
whether it's
popular thing I've ever heard, when they say
18,000, a
the
million,
sun is a million
or,
degrees.
or
You can't think it's poppy
30
pop.
million.
You can't-
Any will do
You
if it's
can't with
far
any
enough.
credibility just go,
I think
it's
that-
not
I think
bigger.
that
You've
if
got to
you
back
go
it
to
up with
the
something
core-
apart from that's what you feel like.
Okay, I also feel like the sun is not super
we go
duper
to the
hot.
core, the
As in, it's got
problem, I
heat,
think,
but it's not
is
as hot
that
as they
you
say.
don't trust on,
Because let's just be honest, the heat that we feel the sun is only when it's generated and it
Actually,
hits
hang
that. So
on, we're
when
not
it hits
being fair.
gases,
Sorry, we're not being fair. It's their debate.
yeah, sorry.
So
Yeah.
I think this is the core.
When it hits the gases, it gets hot. In a
okay, yeah.
vacuum, the sun is hot.
So I think is that this is the core, right? You're not trying, you don't trust on science, on the actual science. You want to test things on yourself, trying to be you're the scientist, and just the fact that you are asking me, how do I know? I'm not a scientist. I'm not making this as a job.
Oh no, he said you were.
No. I'm not a scientist. I'm a programmer. No, I do a programming.
so am I. I used to be a programmer. But yeah.
I'm not representative of the words of science, but I do trust science. I do trust science because to me, first of all, probabilistic. If there is a conspiracy, imagine that 99% of them they obey to the conspiracy. 1% they say no. I don't stay with it. I want to speak. I want to leak it. No, let me finish.
I was going to answer that.
Yeah. I want to do a leak. Just having millions and millions of scientists, we will have a massive amount of leak that the science would be not correct. I'm an academic. I work in completely different. I work in artificial intelligence, right?
Yeah.
So I know how the academic world works. There is a competition of scientists, one against the other. If somebody would prove this would be true, they would become very popular, right?
Right. So, have you ever heard of the phrase compartmentalization?
What do you like to do?
Right. Compartmentalization is where you've got, let's say you've got a company, yeah? And you've got 1,000 people working in that company, right? Like a bank, okay? So, at the top of the pyramid, there's a few people who know what's going on. Right at the bottom, that person who sits on the window at the bank, they don't know what's going on. The higher up you get, the more knowledge there is. So no one place in that pyramid, unless you're at the top, knows what's going on. They do their little piece.
This is your view, right?
Well, no, this is what actually happens.
No. My experience of working in academic world, and I do work in science, not in this spectrum, but in other things, it's not like that. Science is very.
My experience.
I didn't limit to speak.
Well, okay.
And I was speaking,
say
right?
something.
I was speaking, right? So my experience is that there are many academic institutions, many of them, thousands of them. They are each in competition against the others, right? They are not in collaboration. I work with an institution. We go crazy to have more publications than the competitors, right? So in this case, it's not like as you say on the top of the side. It's roughly a kind of diverse scientific people working with each other. All of them arrive to the same conclusion.
Sure. Okay. Yes. But here's the thing. We know quite a few scientists who have come over to our side because they said we found evidence that this model isn't right, and they tried to publish. They got nowhere.
Nobel-winning prize.
Could you stop jumping in? You weren't even here for the question.
I have, because I got distracted by your friend.
Right, but
okay, no, let me do this.
we met.
We lost him. He
Sorry,
said
I
so.
falsely
We're friends.
assumed.
Yeah. Whatever he says is
I falsely assumed that you guys were together. I apologise.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Why not?
Okay.
Whatever reality you say is reality.
So, so we've got scientists who say, right, well, we've discovered inconsistencies in the model that lean towards a flat Earth. We tried to publish, we can't get anywhere. I've got a woman who is trying to sue the university, right, because she's not allowed to speak her mind.
Let's speak about probabilistically. I think we have two outcomes. Either you are right and we are wrong, or we are right and you are wrong, right? But it's one of the two is true. So let's assume that you are right and we are wrong. So the Earth is flat. So statistically, how many scientists would go to try against the establishment, try to prove that? I think it's a massive amount. So we have millions of scientists. Let's say one of 100. So every 100 scientists, at least one, we go join you. Would say that. You know the number of scientists
I
around?
spoke to a scientist, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I spoke to a
yes.
scientist. I had a debate with him, yeah. He couldn't answer any of the questions because he said, "Well, my area is particle physics, yeah." His focus is very tiny, yeah. Oh, bye.
Bye.
So this is it. Every one of these scientists, their focus is tiny on a little area.
I think
yeah?
to
if
us
they try and divert,
you
I've been still talking. If they try and divert from their area, they don't get funding. They get ridiculed. They're no longer scientists.
And I was going to say one thing now. Yeah. Now, I can imagine that with NASA, you probably think they're a very good source of information, reputable. Yes or no?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Now,
no
NASA has come out and said that they were able to fly a device or a spaceship to the actual sphere, which is known as the Sun. And they've actually said they've been actually able to touch the actual solar flares of it. Do you believe that because NASA made this statement, they have the technological actual device that is capable of withstanding the gravitational pressure and the temperature influxes, and bring back that data back?
Yeah, but
no. Do you believe that? No, that's what they said. Do you believe that? Because it's said. Do you believe that's true?
Sorry, Giovanni, I've got to go. 6 o'clock.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. With a pleasure. Yes.
Cheers.
No, I'm just saying, just because someone says something, it doesn't mean it's going to be true. No, I just said to the gentleman.